All right, guys, here we go. You made it all the way to the extra practice. Good job. This is at page 95. I asked you to do 19 through 29 odd, and then number 30. So here are the answers. Let me read them to you, just in case you can't read my answers. And yes, the answers were in the back of the book, but still, I like to read them to you anyways. Number 19 is 13 over 20. Number 21 is 9 and 7/20. Number 23 is 0 and 622 thousandths. Yep, I had to make sure of that. Number 25 is 14 and 6/10. 27 is 23 and 375 thousandths. Number 29 is 6/10, or 0 and 6/10. And number 30, there's two answers, and we'll explain that in a little bit. 1/4 and then 25 hundredths. Okay? So again, if you got them all right, you can stop right there and turn the video off. Congratulations, enjoy your time off. If you got certain ones wrong, by all means, fast forward. And if you didn't do it at all because you just had no clue how to start, then please watch on. But I ask you again, on your own, later on, do the problems without looking at the answers. See if you can get it, okay? All right, so let's go. Number 19. For 19 and 21, you have to write each decimal as a fraction or mixed number in simplest form. All right, let's get it done. I might go a little fast because by now you guys are pretty sure getting the hang of this. So I'm getting my pencils ready, my erasers ready, and my highlighters. Okay. If you have questions, don't forget you can ask me tomorrow when we go over this. All right, number 19. We have 0.65. We have to change it to a fraction. Just reminding myself. All right. I'm just going to go right through to the steps. 65 hundredths, right? 65 hundredths. It stops on the hundredths. So 65 hundredths. But if you can simplify, please do so. It ends in a 5. 65, that is. 100 ends in a 0. That means I can divide by 5. 5 is a factor. I believe this is 13, and that's 20. So 13/20. Done. 21. 9 and 35 hundredths. 9 and 35 hundredths. Okay, again, the whole number, leave it alone. You don't have to do anything with it. Just worry about the fraction part. Or sorry, the decimal part, excuse me. 35 hundredths. Write it the way you say it, 35 hundredths, right? 2 place values, 2 zeros. Simplify. I know I can divide by 5. 7/20, right? And that whole number, just bring it along for the ride. And I'm going to use a highlighter. I know you're probably already used to this, but I'm going to do it anyways. And if you already know that you had to do that, good for you. You're paying attention. All right, number 23. 23 and 25. You have to write each fraction or mixed number as a decimal. So now you go the other way around. 23. 311 over 500. Okay. Whew. I can divide the numerator by the denominator, but that just looks like a big mess. Let me try the other method, setting up equivalent fractions. Let's see if I can set it up with a power of 10. Will 10 work? No. 100? No. 1,000? Yes. I'm going to scale up. That means, well, I am scaling up actually. You see, I'm going from one smaller number to a bigger number. I can make 2 groups of 500 to get to 1,000. I do the same thing here, times 2. I believe that's 622. Okay. All right, let's take this step by step. This is where people kind of goof it up a little bit. So, do we have a whole number? No, we have a 0. We don't have a whole number, so it's 0. I put a decimal letting me know, hey, I don't have a whole number, but I do have part of a whole. And I'm going to write it in the form of a decimal. All right, 3 zeros, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And all I'm going to do is write the numerator in the appropriate place values. And that's it. Done. I mean, not with the assignment, but we're almost there. 25. 14 and 3/5. Okay. Okay. Like, again, the whole number, just leave it alone. I'm going to put it down here on the side, so don't forget it's there. I could divide 3 by 5. That's easy enough. I can do that. I can actually do it in my head right now. It's going to be 0.6. But I still like the idea of equivalent fractions. I mean, I kind of like the idea. I can see what's going on. Okay, let's try powers of 10. 10? That was easy. Okay, I can scale up by a factor of 2. I'll do the same thing there. 6/10. 6/10, just the way it sounds. I don't have a whole number, so it's 0 and 6/10. 6/10, one place value, 1 0. I mean, remember that, right? So 14 and 6/10. Put it together, and there you have it. Okay, so now we're up to 27. All right, you got to read. It's a word problem. Now, on the quiz, don't freak out when you see the word problem. It's going to be just like this. You're not going to have to add anything or subtract anything, multiply or anything. All you have to do is identify the number and convert it to whatever they're asking for. Are they asking for a decimal number or are they asking for a fraction? Okay, so keep that in mind. Rancho Middle School has an average of 23 and 3/8 of students per teacher. Write this mixed number as a decimal. All right, so they give you the mixed number of 23 and 3/8, and they want you to change it into a decimal. Fair enough. All right, again, the whole number, just put it to the side. Don't do anything with it. 3/8. Okay, you know what? This number is actually small enough. I'm going to go ahead and change it into a decimal by dividing the numerator with the denominator. Okay? All right. I can't make groups of 8 out of 3, so I put a 0 there. And I put a decimal point here and a 0. That tells me I'm going to cut up the 3 holes into 10 parts each. Tenths, right? 10 parts each. When we get to chapter 3, I'll explain why this works. But for now, just add the 0. Just do it mechanically. I will explain it a little later. So how many groups can you make out of 30 if you're making groups of 8? One group of 8 is 8, 2 is 16, 3 is 24, 4 is 32. That's too many. I have enough for 3. 30 minus 24 is 6. Now, here's the thing. I know in elementary it would be remainder and all that, but we're not doing remainders anymore. Either you're going to write a fraction or a decimal number. Now, since we write a decimal number, you're going to keep going. Now, how many groups of 8 can you make from 60? I'm just going to go ahead and jump it. 8 times 7. Again, it really is just multiplication. How many groups of 8 can you make out of 60? Well, 8 times 7 gives me 56. I subtract, I have 4 left. Keep adding 0 till you have nothing left. Okay, how many groups of 8 can you make out of 40? That's basically an 8 times what number question? 8 times 5. 40. All right. So I have the 3/8. 3/8 is the same as 375 thousandths. All right. So I'm going to put that here. And that's your final answer. Okay. We're up to 29. Can't see it yet. There it is. Same thing. Just read the problem and see what they get you. See what they tell you. In a survey, 9 out of 15 students named math as their favorite class. Express this rate as a decimal. Remember rates? 9 out of 15 is 9/15. Okay, express it as a decimal. Okay, now this is one of those questions you have to think about it. It's deceptively simple. I could try to see if I can make this into some power of 10. 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000. Or I can divide I can divide 9 by 15. But it looks like I can simplify it. So let me simplify it first and see what that gives me. I can use 3 as a factor. That gives me 3/5. Okay, see, I'm glad I simplified that because now I can still divide the numerator by denominator. It's that much easier now. Or I can set it up as equivalent fractions. And I'm going to use a power of 10. Start off with 10. Can I scale up from 5 to 10? Yes, you can. I can scale it up by a factor of 2. Same thing there. 6/10. Now, we want this as a decimal number. So 6/10. It's in the name. 6/10. I don't have a whole number, so I'm going to use 0. 0 and this part of a whole, but I want it as a decimal instead of a fraction. 6/10. 1 0, 1 place value. Have this as a numerator, so I'm going to write that here. 0.6. And that's it. All right, 30. This one might be a little bit more complex. You have to do a little thinking on this, but it's not as hard as it looks. I'm going to show you the table that we're talking about. All right, here it is. I know high tech, right? Bring out the book. All right, the frequency table shows the favorite college football teams of middle school students. What fraction of the students chose the Sooners? Write the fraction as a decimal. Okay. All right. Remember, for fractions, just fractions, we're not talking about ratios. For a fraction, we're always talking about a part of a whole. Part of a whole. Okay, let's look at the table again. We're trying to figure out how many kids like the Sooners. Well, according to this, 5 students like it. Sooners is just part of all the teams that we're talking about. So this is the part, and this is the total. This is the whole. When you consider all, remember in the video that you saw, a fraction can be either part of a whole or part of a set. So this is a set of football teams. Sooners is just one part of that set. Sooners is part of the set of Buckeyes, Gators, Sooners, Tigers, Lions. Okay. Now with that said, 5 is just part of the total of all these numbers when you add them up. Okay? Part to whole. Part to whole. Part to whole. Okay, remember that. Fraction, part to whole. All right. Sooners to all teams. Or total, right? Sooners is just 5 teams. Or sorry, it's not 5 teams, but 5 people or 5 middle school kids like the Sooners. But what's the total? How many kids actually took part in this? We have to add them up. 3 plus 6 is 9. Plus 5 is 14. 14 plus 2 is 16. Plus 4 is 20. When you consider all the students that picked all the teams, that's 20 students, right? That's everybody. So I have 5/20. Simplify this. It becomes, well, actually, you know what? Well, here, let me simplify it first. Just get that out of the way. Okay, I'll just leave it there. That's 1/4 as a fraction. Now we want this as a decimal number. Okay, I'm going to use equivalent, and some of you already might know because you memorized it. 1/4, 1/4 is 0.25, but let's just do the work anyways. All right, we're going to use powers of 10 here as a denominator. Can we scale up to 10? No. Can we scale up to 100? Yes. And by now you should know 4 of something will give you 100, right? I know I said it kind of weird. In my head, I'm already thinking money. So 4 coins will give me $1, right? 25. But if that didn't make any sense to you, just remember this. What number, how many groups of 4 can you make out of 100? 25. Remember we did this last lesson? It's really a multiplication problem in disguise. But more on that later. Well, actually, much later when we start chapter 3. So whatever you do to the bottom, do to the top. Okay, 25 hundredths. 25 hundredths. There's no whole number, so it's 0. And this point lets me know that there's actually a part of a whole I have to consider. There it is. 25 hundredths. 2 zeros, 2 place values, and we're done. So here are your 2 answers. And that's it.